Hello everybody and welcome. Today you join me on a very windy day, but what can we do? The weather has been pretty rubbish in the last few days and weeks, and it's likely to continue like that for the foreseeable future. As you know, last week I removed the engine head from my car. I have never done this operation before. Actually, I think it went pretty well, considering that I'm a totally novice on this matter. And we found out that the head gasket had blown around cylinder number one. It actually looked pretty old, but in fact it was not the original head gasket, and we'll come to that in just a moment. Also, you've probably seen on the images that the cylinder bores on cylinders number 2 and 3, they looked a little bit worn. I wasn't too sure initially, but after showing to a lot of my viewers, a couple of them pointed out that the engine needed a full rebuild uh, due to the marks of corrosion on the cylinder bores and also due to the glazing. I had a mechanic to come over, have a quick look at the car, who gave me the verdict that the engine definitely did need a full-on rebuild. The head and the bottom end, everything that had to be stripped down, possibly oversized pistons, new rings, shells, and so on. And I thought, well, that's pretty damning, and that was pretty expensive. I was looking at a quote of around £3,000, at least £2,000 to £3,000 to get the engine overhauled. Of course, many bits will be salvaged, that will still be good, but others quite not so good. But I wasn't too sure really, and things like these, I always like to have a second opinion. But let's just have another look at the condition of the cylinder bores. I have protected everything because of the weather, put a plastic bag, the the exhaust manifold to weight over the lid, and also smeared all the area with a bit of oil to keep the corrosion at bay. Okay, in pictures it's always a little bit difficult to demonstrate, but I did clean up the cylinder number 3, and you can see there is a fair amount of pitting in this area. You see, there was accumulation of corrosion in the whole cylinder bore. Actually, quite a fair amount that you can see. But is this affecting the sealing of the cylinder? I'm not entirely sure, because the fact is that the engine never smoked. The only occasion where it smoked was when it was running very rich, and it did smell a bit, quite a bit of fuel. And you see the other side of the wall is actually not too bad, but this side here, not so great. This one here, number 2, does seem to have some glazing, but and this mark here seems to be pretty minor really, but there are no corrosion marks whatsoever on it. All this you see is just a reflection of the piston crown, but it's actually in good condition, no pitting whatsoever. It's just a little bit of glazing. Now, because the cam is locked, I was only able to turn the engine a little bit, and you could see here at the cylinder number 4, it's actually not too bad. A little bit of glazing, as it is expected for an engine of this age, but not so much. These are only reflections of the piston crown, but it's nice, smooth, no marks. It's actually all seems to be okay. But cylinder number 1 is in a terrible shape. You can see they're spitting all around. It is quite damaged. A little bit hard to see, but you can see the corrosion mark, especially in here, and the severe pitting that this bore has suffered. That is actually quite bad. So yeah, Decisions, decisions, decisions. So, what about the head? Well, I took the head to a local BMW specialist, which has been recommended by several fellows of the BMW Car Club, a guy that really knows his classic BMWs. He had a good look at it, and I'm afraid it's not good news as well. The trouble with my current head is that I'm going to show you in the pictures. A lot of the waterways on the head have already been eaten away due to corrosion. There's a lot of metal missing around the combustion chambers, and which would not be good if it was going to be put back on the engine. Of course, and notice a problem also with the spark plug. The thread was completely shot, so that wouldn't be recoverable. And whilst the things such as the camshaft and the followers and so on, they did seem to be okay. He will be able to have a better look once it's completely dismantled. This head had already been skimmed at least once, probably more than that, because he measured the height of the head, and the standard size is 129 millimeters. And the head measured 127.5. So basically, we already have 2.5 millimeters missing from that head, which means that there's no room for it to be skimmed. So it's scrap, that head. He said he will try to find another head which in good condition, where some bits of mine can be transposed to the other one and everything nicely done. So that's actually the only bit of good news. With the engine block, I'm not really entirely sure. Now, looking at the condition of, I only thought the problem was only on the cylinder number 3 with that pitting, which is not too bad. I could just simply do honing, taking the engine off the block, dismantle it, and so on. But the way the condition, the state of the cylinder number 1, I'm not entirely sure. It does really it looks really rough when you put your finger into it. So I'm not sure really what to do now. Is it worth spending all that money, which I can't afford really? I can't. I don't have a couple grand kicking around and burning a hole in my pocket to spend on this engine. I don't have. So I don't think you really need an expert to say that it's going to cost a fair amount of money. It's definitely not doable at home. At least the honing on the cylinders and so on has to be sent to a machine shop and then dismantle everything and so on. And I don't have the space. I have a tiny shed where you can barely swing a cat. I don't have the room, and certainly I'm not going to do it at home. So yeah. But then again, that's the reality of car restorations. It is what it is. C'est la vie, as they say. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Take care.